Have you ever looked at a Game Boy Color and just thought to yourself, what if I could just cut it in half, put the display on a rotating hinge, and have it half the size so you can fit it in your pocket? You haven't thought that? Well, I'll be honest, neither have I. But if you have, Anbernic came up with a pretty clever solution. This is the Anbernic RG Rotate, with a display on a hinge that's so small that you can fit it in your pocket quite easy. Lit NXT sent this over about 2 weeks ago, and I've been so busy with Pulse, I honestly just haven't had a chance to look at it. But I did upgrade my main editing rig, and I also had a problem with the RAM in it. So for the last 2 weeks, I've just been effectively out of a computer. Now that I got things kind of back up, I thought we could take a closer look at the RG Rotate and see what it's all about. I absolutely love the Game Boy, so having a Game Boy at half the size that you can fit in your pocket easier, that's made out of full metal, that just sounds amazing to me. So first things first, as mentioned, this was sent over from Lit NXT. As with all my reviews, the company is not seeing this review beforehand. They have no input into what I'm telling you, and I'm here just to give you my honest thoughts about what I think about it. So what do I think about the RG Rotate? Well, I think it's a pretty cool little handheld. As the name implies, you can rotate it, and it turns into a handheld, or you can rotate it back, and it turns into a little clock. Pretty cool, but something I would have never thought of as a handheld manufacturer. Now obviously, it's not a huge handheld. It does have a bigger screen than the Game Boy Color, which is nice, and it's about half your size of your phone. The nice thing too is it's very thin. This makes it extremely easy to fit into your pocket, even thinner than a Game Boy Color. One thing I was kind of curious of is if it was going to wobble, but the hinge itself is pretty sturdy. It's also not separating from the body as you're holding it upside down, which is kind of interesting. I thought it was going to be a little bit looser, but it's extremely rigid. The back of the screen is metal, so it is very durable, but it also collects a lot of fingerprints. On the front, you can see the face buttons. The face buttons on this handheld are extremely clicky. The D-pad as well is very clicky. There is a little bit of a flared edge to the D-pad, which is kind of nice for good pivoting. On the left side, you have the volume rocker and of course the micro SD card slot. You can buy this pretty affordable from Lit NXT, but they do also sell a micro SD card bundle. On the right side, you have the power button and a reset button. I did have to use the reset button once because Android froze on me. There's nothing on the bottom but an Anbernic logo. You have a lanyard hole on the top as well as a USB-C port for charging, and you will charge this a lot because it does die pretty quick. You also have your triggers and your bumpers. The awkward thing about the bumpers is they're kind of hard to click. You have to reach up over the triggers to use them, and personally it's a really weird design. It makes it easy to pocket, but I just don't want to program anything to the bumpers because I know I don't like using them. Actually, just notice on the top, this is not a lanyard hole. It's for the LED notification for charging. You do have a carrying strap attachment on the front corner though, and that's kind of nice. Give you that kind of retro feel. But aside from that, the entire body is completely solid. I feel like I could drop this thing and it wouldn't take any damage. It would probably end up inflicting more damage than it took. The nice thing about metal too is it just looks so premium. Just seeing this feels like an expensive device, and it makes something like the Game Boy Advance SP feel like a toy. Unfortunately, I think mine might be broken on one of the triggers because you can hear it consistently being pressed. All I had to do to fix it though was just open it and close it once. Now it's back to normal, so I have no idea. The triggers do still work, so I don't know. That's kind of concerning, but that's the only quality control issue that I could notice. Not necessarily a negative, but I do notice some over sharpening on the screen. If you have this side by side with a handheld of this size, you're gonna notice this screen looks just a little too sharp. But that's not likely to bother everybody. Even someone picky like me isn't really concerned too much about it. It doesn't bother me when I'm playing it. And playing it is the best part. Playing Game Boy games on this screen with this styling, it's just so much fun. There's been times I've been bored while I was out, totally forgot that I had this in my pocket and I could just pull it out and play. It's so cool. And for the games that you're going to play on it, you're going to get excellent performance. It is, of course, a screen and the form factor for stuff like Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, and of course the original Game Boy. If you want this for retro systems, I think you'll be pretty happy with it. I don't want to spend too long talking about the RG Rotate, but emulation-wise, it's an incredible buy. Now, unfortunately for Android games, I just couldn't get the controls working. I wouldn't buy this expecting it to be usable on Android games anyways, because it's not the fastest hardware in the world. Although I have to admit, I was kind of hoping simple games like Skull the Hero Slayer would work, but no luck. However, more compatible games like Loop Hero work really good. However, with this small screen, it does make text really hard to see. And of course, because this is Android, you do have a limited amount of storage, but for the most part, you're going to be loading emulation off your SD card anyways. It's not a bad handheld by any means, and if you're going into it knowing what you get, you're going to be really happy. If you want a Game Boy you can fit in your pocket, absolutely buy it. You don't need internal storage. It doesn't even matter if the device only has 3 GB of RAM or runs an older Android 12 with a slower processor. When it comes to gaming, what matters is the experience, and the RG Rotate is a pretty neat device, especially for the price. But what do you think of the Anbernic RG Rotate? Do you like it? And have you picked one up? What are you playing on it? If you're interested in picking one up, make sure to check out the link in the description below. And as always, thanks for hanging out, and I'll catch you in the next one.